Hi, everybody. I got a timer this time. You're right, Sam's not with me, but we're going to make it through. You guys, tonight we have a very, very special guest. I'm so excited. So we're going to do a 30 seconds or less announcement. Don't time me because I'm totally fudging that. Also, hi, Marty. I see that you're watching. So we've got She Kills Monsters at Little Renegade Productions on September 26th and 27th. I'm going to post the link in the chat here. Maybe if I can get my cursor to work. I'm going to do it in a little bit. But you can sign up to register for that. Also, Kennedy, who was on our show last week, is doing a Night of Black Excellence, which is a virtual LMU production that is open to the public. So make sure and watch that. Put that on your calendars for October 24th and 25th at 5 p.m. I will have that also linked for you coming up as soon as we get that when it gets a little closer. Also, we've got a virtual play series coming, and that is on Wednesday. It's going to be the third Wednesday of every month, directly following the member meeting. So make sure and get the member meeting link and come see that. We're still taking submissions, so remember to submit at plays@killenplayers.org. Also, we've got the October music hall for the October third week member slot, so make sure and email if you're interested. And then we also have, I almost forgot, Culver City Public Theater open. Sherlock Holmes meets the bully of Baker Street, and you still have chances. That opened on the 9th, but it doesn't close until the 20th. And it's Wednesdays at 6 p.m., Saturdays at noon, and Sundays at 3. And I'm going to post that link as well. Yay. All right. Okay. So now I'm so excited. This is such a dear friend. You've seen all the pictures. You know him from literally everything you have ever seen. He's in it. And it's so true. And I have known him for many, many years. And I have been an admirer and a fan since day one. It's part of the reason why I'm still doing theater. And I got hooked on musical theater. So I would like to bring on my dear friend, mentor, colleague, Wade Williams.
Oh.
Hi,
Sam. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Oh, we're not getting so much of the beautiful background.
It's nice because it's kind of in silhouette now, right? The mountains, the Joshua tree.
Wade is dialing in from the desert. Thank you so much for doing
And that's
this.
the full moon there. That's how big it is.
I love it. Yay. Thank you so much for joining us. I so appreciate this.
You're welcome. What a pleasure.
I am not lying when I say I watched you and Sweeney Todd, and I remember sitting at the first rehearsal. My mom was in the show, and I remember sitting watching, and I went, I have to do this forever.
No. You blame it on me.
I'm blaming it on you.
Good. Well, I'll take the blame.
Yeah.
Because you're great at it.
Oh, thank you. It's just excellent production. It was just amazing. So I want to know.
In college, right? At TU.
I was at TU.
Wow.
Yes. Yes. You played Sweeney. Nancy Vinovich played Mrs. Lovett. Carolyn Handy played the beggar woman.
Gosh. Jason Maley.
Yep. Toby. Amazing.
Who else? Oh gosh, there were so many great.
There's so many great people in that show.
That's actually one of my favorite things I've ever done.
Is it really?
All the years, yes. That production.
Well, I'm going to come back to that because I want to know a little bit about you, where you're from, and how you got into theater, and then I want to hear about Sweeney and why it's so special.
Okay.
So tell us a little, where are you from and how did you get into theater?
Well, I was born in Atlanta, Georgia, but my father was in the Navy. He was an officer in the Navy. So the first few years of my life, I shipped around like you are when you're in the Navy, San Diego. Anyway, then my dad had like a moral dilemma, and he became a conscientious objector on a submarine.
Oh, wow.
Ocean. I was about 9 months old or something. Anyway, So they left him off the Navy. They let him out with an honorable discharge because they believed him. Can you imagine doing that in a submarine in the middle of the ocean?
I cannot.
Anyway, they let him off in Japan, and I guess did the whole head shrinker thing on him to make sure that he wasn't out of his mind, which he wasn't. And they let him go. And he went to seminary and became a preacher, an Episcopal priest. And so then I moved back to Atlanta with him after we went to seminary there when I was just a little bitty boy.
Wow.
So I was like 3 or 4. I remember my mom made me a Batman costume there that I really loved to play with on the swing. She had a cape and everything. It was like I was flying. And my sister was Robin. Anyway, then moved back to Atlanta. And he was a preacher at this little church in, what was that? South of Atlanta on Stone Road. What was the name of that? I'll remember in a minute. Then we ended up moving to another house, Manhattan Drive. In the meantime, my father moved to a church in downtown Atlanta called St. Luke's. And that's kind of where I became cognizant of things in a way. I was about 7, 8, around then, you know, where your brain kind of like starts to go. Anyway, so I remember my dad was a great singer, right? And he would lead the whole congregation. It was a big church, one of those big ones built in like the middle 18th century after the Civil War, like some kind of grand, like, fuck you. Anyway, but it had a beautiful organ, and it was built from the rubble of burnt Atlanta. It had cobblestone floors and a great freaking organ, man. Dude, this thing was amazing. Anyway, so I sang in the choir, and I was an acolyte, and my dad would walk down the little aisle in front of me in his priest clothes. I'd be wearing some black and white dress with a candle or a cross in front of me, and he would sing his way down the front with the audience, right? The congregation following him. So I think, you know, he's my dad, right, too. Plus he's a preacher, so I think I might have had him on a little too high. Anyway, so years later, we ended up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, because he had got a PhD from Emory University in Eastern religious thought and Eastern Christian doctrine from Emory. And so he taught the seminary at Oral Roberts University for about 7 or 8 years. And that's how I got to Tulsa when I was 14. And we met in Tulsa when I was going to TU.
That's right.
So, I don't know. I didn't want to be an actor ever, really. I did a play or two in high school, at Union High School there. I loved sing. I always loved to sing. Yes. So I was always in a choir there with Mr. Tackett, who I loved him a lot. I did a musical or two there. But, you know, just for fun, right? For chicks. Anyway, then I got into TU. Oh, I started working at a hospital, St. John's Medical Center, as an orderly in surgery, right? I did that for a couple of years. I also worked at this fence company where I had to make the rounded top of fence posts, you know, how the little spikes on the top, you know. I guess you have to pay extra for that if you buy a fence. Anyway, I did them 4 at a time, one side at a time, 10 hours a day, pallet after pallet of them. I was the guy doing the 4 at a time, and then you have to turn them over and do the other side. And then a guy that had been promoted, right? He was on the forklift smoking cigarettes all day. And when I finished one pallet, he would pull it away, take it away, and then put the new one down. And then sit and let it.
Wow. Well, you did all the work.
Yes, and he was like, you know, we were the same age. He'd been there like 3 weeks longer than I had. You know what I mean? So I thought to myself, I better go to college if I want to get a real job, right? Right? See, seems like a smart thought. Then I decided to be an actor.
You know, get a real job.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But it is better most of the time.
Yeah.
Than making points on fence posts.
I'll agree with that 100%.
Anyway, I didn't want to be an actor until I got to TU, and I met Jane Carmichael. And she's a voice teacher. And on her request, after I sang for a while, because I was trying to be a good singer, because I was singing in the choir at church, she said, "Why don't you try out for a musical?" And I said, "Musical, you're kidding." But then I thought, well, I might be some chick. So I did, and it was Cabaret, right? That's the first. But then I got a call back, and I was like, no, I don't want to. So then I went on. I was working at the hospital all the time as an orderly in surgery, and year went by, and she said, "Why don't you audition for the musical?" And I said, "Oh, come on, Jane, you gotta be kidding." It was for funny thing happened on the way to the forum, and it was Nancy's show.
Yeah.
And I got called back, and I went to the callback, and I got it.
Wow.
I was like, I don't know, man. And I remember I had to drink like a shot. I had like what did I have to drink? A gin and tonic. Stop at some bar because I was older. Because I didn't start college until I was like 23 or 24. Yeah, I had to shout like one gin and tonic before I go to rehearsal because I was so freaking scared.
Because it could to calm your nerves because you were nervous?
Yeah, I was scared shitless. Come on. All these, real theater people there at the freaking theater school, right? Right, Brad Boker was playing freaking Pseudolus. Holy shit, how do you compete with that guy?
Oh.
Not that I was even competing, I was just there for the chicks. But at the same time, you know what I mean? I didn't want to make a fool of myself.
Of course, right.
Anyway, but Nancy and Jane hooked me.
Yeah. That is amazing. That is incredible. Well, first of all, thank you, Nancy, and thank you, Jane. I'm glad that they saw something.
Great to me.
They saw something inside of you that you didn't quite see yourself at the time, but they saw that fire. So you do funny thing happen on the way to the forum. Yeah. And then was that it? You're hooked? You found something that you enjoy doing, singing and acting together? And is that when you joined the theater department or?
No. I was studying to be a doctor, and I worked full time at St. John's while I went to school full time at TU. And the only way I could do that usually was I would work double shift both weekends, which was get there at 6:30 in the morning on Saturday, and then I wouldn't go home till about 11:30 on Saturday night. Then I'd go back in on Sunday morning at 6:30, and I'd work all day until 11:30 on Sunday nights. That's 4 shifts, so I was almost a full shift. So I made about $200.
Wow.
My rent was $200. So I learned how to like do these weird. I would write checks that I knew they would bounce, but I'd write them to the school cashier's office, right to you. And so like if I was really really hungry, right, I'd order like 3 or 4 Domino's pizzas for like because back then I don't know they were like $10 a piece or something. So it'd be like a $40-$50 check. But I figured, it's better that bounce because I got to pay $20 anyway for the bounce check fee. So why write a check for $20 and then bounce it? So, what I mean? I was doing the math that way. But, dude, I was hungry. I had nothing. I was going to school. I don't know how I was even paying for it. Anyway, took an acting class there. See what it was like. And I was taking singing lessons from Jane. And Jane had hooked me up with Laven Soul, who ran this thing called the Select Choir, which is it was a scholarship choir. I think everybody got like $1,000 scholarship to be in it. And you practiced every day, for 2 or 3 hours every afternoon. And you'd go and sing for the Rotary Club and stuff. You sing, of course, Oklahoma, the big song, right? And, all kinds of cheesy, wonderful, kind of old folk songs. And hymns and all kinds of great stuff. And we go all over the place and sing those, and we got $1,000 a semester, I think. Yeah, or 1,000. I can't remember. Anyway, well then the theater department offered me one of those too.
Oh wow!
So I somehow ended up getting a theater degree instead of what happened. Then I was like, well, hell, what am I going to do with this? So I said, shit, man, I better go to graduate school because what if I can't get a job as an actor? I guess I better teach, right? So really, it was just, like survival, really.
So
somebody decided they wanted to pay for me to go to school.
So where did you go to graduate school?
At Rutgers.
At Rutgers, okay.
In New Jersey.
That's right.
And my acting teacher was a guy named William Esper. I didn't know it at the time, but I guess he's kind of a known acting teacher. I loved him. We had a great time. There were a lot of great folks there. Well, the main thing I did there was get rid of my Oklahoma accent when I was like this a lot, Hey, man, listen, Dave. football game's not on today because there's no freaking audience there. They won't let the fucking audience in because this goddamn host fire. Give me another beer, will you? I mean, that's what it's like in Oklahoma, right?
Yeah.
And then the PhD, in education walks in with a 12-pack and says, man, I just love education. You know what I mean? It's just like you never know who you're getting, right? You think it's like a cowpoke, but it's a freaking nuclear physicist, right? Welcome to Oklahoma. Cheers.
That's right. That's right.
Formative years. That was high school and college for me.
That's amazing.
And that's where I met your mom.
That is. So let's talk about Sweeney real quick, because you said earlier that you said that was your, to date, one of your favorite experiences. What was it about that show that has stuck with you all these years, through all of your many different shows, being on Broadway, going on tours? Why is that role stuck with you?
Well, first of all, I'm grateful. I didn't really understand how it all worked at the time. But when you have like a theater school and you have so many students in that school, I didn't know this at the time. Sometimes you have a very, very popular theater school and you get to pick your theater class, right? That was not the case at TU. They had I graduated, the year I graduated, there were only 4 of us that graduated from the theater school that year. So it wasn't like a lot of the people, like, that did the plays with us were from other departments. They were in the law school. They were in the biology, whatever. So there wasn't a theater department to make kind of a cast out of, like a core company. So they did, but they picked that show for me. Really? Because they had a guy that they thought could do it, right? If they didn't have like 2 or 3 guys, they had me in rehearsal for it. I didn't know if you knew this. For like a year before they cast it.
Really? Just to make sure that you could do it. Interesting.
Yeah, so they really taught me how to learn like an epic freaking singing acting role like that. And I worked on it with Nancy for about a year before I auditioned. And she had to audition too. Really? Yes.
For people are like, what's the big deal about that? But Nancy was the shiznit. Nancy did everything. She's an amazing director. She was very talented. So it's kind of a big deal that she had to audition.
One of the best actors I've ever worked with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. She's amazing.
And singers too.
Oh, she was great. You too in that role was great. I just want to really quickly, since we're talking about it, first of all, hello, Stephanie. She said hi to me. Graciela Valderrama says, her favorite Sweeney Todd ever.
Yeah?
Yeah. Mine too, to be honest. I'm biased, I admit, but you're also amazing. But that was such, that whole entire production was something that I think is hard to equal anywhere else. Just in general, but I love knowing that you spent so much time working on it. I think so many people, we look at an actor who is so successful and so talented at a role, and you make it look so natural that it's almost as if like you wake up and you're like, what am I going to do today? I guess I'll go play Sweeney. But like really, there was all this work invested behind the scenes for like a year, you're saying, training vocally, studying the character, studying the role. It's amazing. I hope all my students are watching.
Well, I've learned for me and I learned it's kind of doing that. And it's good that they gave me that kind of beautifully supported opportunity because, Jane was working with me on it as my voice teacher. So was Laven Soul. So was Frank, the music conductor, was another professor. I mean, I had all the big guns helping with that. Nancy, Lisa, David Cook, everybody. Those are all the big professors there. Supported me with that. More people too, right? And then, I don't know, sometimes I don't know. That's like the positive vortex, man. I don't know if anybody really created that, but it just, one person, of course not. But, what a beautiful experience that was for me.
And
And it
that's,
wasn't easy,
no, it was an easy
but
show
it
for
was
anyone.
so beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Don't you think?
I do. And I think that's the exciting part about theater is that all these people coming in this collaborative form and supportive arena to help every person. Because I think if I have any other member of that cast on the show, they'll have the same experience in the supportive environment and the wonderful collaboration it took to do that show.
Right. And it's also too the piece, right? I mean, it's a masterpiece in my opinion of both musical theater and opera, if not some other kind of weird kabuki kind of weird anime kind of
That's
crazy. You know, I don't know what you would call it. Anyway,
100%.
it's my favorite. It's perfect for my voice, and you know, I play bad guys.
Ditto. I think it's great. So you leave from there. How is this different from your experiences going on tour? You did some Broadway tours. I love to talk about you're in Kiss of the Spider Woman with Miss Cheetah. Like, how is that different when you enter into that Broadway world, leaving the safety net of school?
That was really interesting. There was actually a couple of transitions in between that. You know, when I was in educational theater, right, which is kind of in a way like, you know, volunteer community theater, right? Everybody's got a job. You know, they can't do it for like 8 weeks in a row, you know. Exhaust everybody because they got to go to work every day beforehand and then do the show. Right. And then 2 on the week. Anyway, so once I got out of, and so in school, it's kind of the same way. Maybe you do 8 performances, 10 performances. You know, maybe in a community theater, you do it for a month, you know, on the weekends. Well, dude, then you get out in the like regional theaters, right? This was really interesting for me. First of all, you got to learn the show. Sometimes in a week. Wow. Right? Sometimes you got to learn a show. Well, you got to learn a show in a week, like South Pacific, say. So I was playing Emile DeBeck. I'd have to learn Emile DeBeck, South Pacific, in 1 week. But then the next week, we were going to premiere Carousel. And I had to learn Billy Bigelow in 1 week while I'm doing Emile DeBeck in South Pacific at night, and then now we're running both of them at the same time. Emile DeBeck one night, Billy Bigelow the next night, and then we're also working on, for the 3rd week in a row, I got to do Tom in Glass Menagerie while I'm doing both. Dude, I didn't know your brain could do that.
Not everyone's can, Wade.
Dude, I was there with 20 other people in Sanford, Maine, and we were all doing the same thing.
That's right.
Anyway, it woke my mind up. But then you do them for 3 months, right? You get to see how they start to develop in front of an audience. It's hard to do that in only 8 shows.
Right.
Anyway, so then the next level is when you get on Broadway. And you have no rehearsal. You just have a couple of weeks with a stage manager and a dance captain, and they teach you all the moves and all the songs and a musical director, right, teaching you the score. And my first gig was as a swing in Les Miserables, so I had to learn 14 different male ensemble parts, from Grantaire, Bamatoubla, all the way down to Fouilly. There's 14 different men's roles that I did, and there was 2 swings, 2 men's swings, 2 women's swings. Sometimes there were 3 or 4 people out at the same time because they had the flu and there was some vacations or whatever. Somebody broke their leg during the matinee.
My gosh.
And there were a couple of people that were in the show that were internal swings, had been swings before. So then we just all get together like a pack of cards and we'll do something. You take these lines and you pick them up. We'd spin them all out. And dude, we could get on the front stage and do that. Can you believe? That's another thing. How does your brain do that? And like, I'm not the old one. Then we'd be doing 8 shows a week, right?
Right.
Never stop. 8 shows a week.
That's right.
And you learn how that show works. The audience teaches you.
That's interesting.
That's why they do long previews sometimes in New York before they open a show. because the audience has to teach you how it works. The actors, the director, the lighting designer, everything. And then you see, it's like looking at the same picture your whole life, right? When you have somebody else come in the house, then all of a sudden they see something you've never seen before, and you've been looking at that picture the whole time, right? That's the audience, right?
That's
It'll
right.
tell you what's really happening.
That's absolutely
That's
right.
bullshit. Do not write that down.
No, but that you bring up such a great point that sometimes I think we forget, which is the role that the audience plays. Because we have a job to tell the story, but they have a job because they're also participating in the story. They're receiving it, and then they're giving us feedback as to what they're receiving.
They start to breathe with you.
Yeah.
They laugh in places you would never imagine would get a laugh.
Right.
And they cry.
Yeah.
They'll never tell you when they cry.
Right. That's when it's silent. Yeah. That's
amazing. I
amazing.
know what happens then. I just know that people have told me they have. And anyway, the theater is powerful. It changes people's life. We got to remember how powerful what we do is. I mean, they can see some TV show I was in that I thought nothing about. I was like, ooh, kid. Yeah. And they'll come up to me sometimes and go, wait, man. That show showed me the truth and made me go a different direction. I'm serious. Shit like that. I'm sure it's happened to a lot of people in the theater. I know from just being next to people like Cheetah Rivera. I remember I came out of the theater in LA one day after we'd done the show. It was a Saturday night show. And there was a bunch of people, of course, waiting for her. They all wait for her. And if they can't get in, they still wait outside. And one of the Carradine brothers, I can't remember which one of the cool Carradine acting brothers was there waiting for her in a suit and tie. And when she came out, he fell to his knees and kissed her feet. I'm telling you. Yeah.
But you're right. It does. It changes lives. We have experiences.
Yes, I've seen that with other people before, but not movie stars, just regular people.
Yeah.
At Les Mis, my God.
Oh, yes. Well, Les Mis changed my life.
That's the show, not so much the star.
But it's not the star.
That's an amazing show.
That's, I think, the thing about theater is it's not about the star. It is about the show and what that person has brought into our world. You're 100%. I mean, Les Mis absolutely changed my life. I remember when that show closed. I mean,
Kiss of the Spider Woman is a good show too.
I haven't gotten to see that live.
It ain't the same show.
No.
Without Cheetah Rivera.
No, and I didn't get to see her in it.
That's why he knelt down on his knee. All right, just let me let you know.
That's true. That's true.
He's like on a whole different level of everything good and true than anybody else I know in the whole universe.
Really?
So, he's amazing. Yes, that's why she got a Lincoln on her. She's like a lady, like a British lady, a sir, a madam, a dame. Yeah.
She is. She is. She has that essence.
She is.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, how lucky have I been? Jeez Louise.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, those experiences have changed and formed who you are. So let me ask you, you had all this buildup of theater, and then you transferred over and into film and television. Do you think this theater world laid the basis, or how did it lay the foundation for you making that transformation over? And do you find that you want to ever come back to the theater, or how do you think that's going to fit in?
Well, first of all, I'd love to do theater again, but it's hard to do because I'm a father and a family man, and I have to take care of my family. And theater, even if you're on Broadway these days, if you're not a star, and I wouldn't be a star on Broadway, I'm not a star on TV money wise. I'm just like, I'm a plumber, right? I'm a good plumber, right? So maybe I'll make an extra, $5 an hour. But it's hard because it doesn't pay a lot of money.
Right.
I would love to. But I don't really care about money, but you gotta have some. Look at us all now during this pandemic. Some of us like me, how do I freaking work? I'm an actor. I'm spitting in people's faces all the time.
Right.
Dogs, shush. I think there's a coyote out there, you guys. Hey, dog, now shush. Anyway, I love theater, but it did help me because I really learned how to prepare for a role, right? I think a lot of I think there's so much work you can do in an acting class. Scene by scene, moment to moment. But as you were saying, our idea is to tell the whole story, our whole story, whether it be ourselves or our whole story as a character, whatever character we're portraying, right? You don't get to do that a lot of times in a movie or a TV show. You have like 3 scenes if you're lucky in some show, right? Which is a nice little character part. But you do them on different days and different places. So it's not the same as theater. We're in the same time span, the same kind of presence. Do it all at the same time, 3 hours, whatever time measuring device you're using. Anyway, 1 hour glass, it's all done, right?
Right.
But you don't do that on the TV. And
so how do
being
you
able to do something like I did with Sweeney Todd, to spend a year really working on a part, right? All that preparation you have to do, the reading stuff, the listening to other people sing it, you know what I'm talking about, learning it. Yeah, that's so invaluable. In good theater, that's what you do. And you have time to do it. But in film and television, sometimes I don't get the script until I get there.
Wow.
And when I get it, it's 178.7% completely different than the last script I read when I took the job. So, okay, take a deep breath and go, right? It's a different kind of thing, right?
That's the best advice. Take a deep breath and go. So how do you do that when you have, we're trained to tell a story with the art. So what is in your process that gets you when you're doing the TV and film to have that arc? What is it that you do that keeps that fresh in your mind when you go on set every day and you're dealing with line changes and getting a script that morning and hair and makeup and so on?
Well, first of all, TV and film acting, which I don't even think are the same thing.
No.
But as opposed to theater acting, it's just different. First of all, it all has to be there, right? Now, a lot of people put a lot of, if you ask me, emphasis on the emotions that you're having during your journey as an actor through a character, right? Help people tell the story with that emotional arc, right? But I think one of the more interesting arcs of any character is the arc of, what's the word, of revelation, right? At which point in their journey in the thing do they find out something, some kind of information? Whether they see it, they smell it, they taste it, they hear it, they feel it, those are the moments, right? Because, I don't know, perfect example is, say somebody tells you, your mom has got COVID and she's in the hospital on a respirator, and this is the last time you're going to get a chance to talk to her. Here she is on FaceTime, right? That's a lot of information all at once, right? look, we didn't have to do anything, and everybody had a story in their head, right?
Yeah.
Right? We were all there. I was there. Were you?
Yeah. Yes.
And what do you do? Fuck. You cried. You don't think about that shit.
Yeah. You think about the story, the information.
That to me is fascinating.
Yeah.
Because when you do learn some kind of information, maybe it's a really good thing. Like I got some good news. Can't say what it is though. I got a freaking job during the pandemic as an actor. I'm fucking amazed. You know? I'm amazed at the same time, but I'm also like, weird. It's in a pandemic. And God, know I'm sexy. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I mean? It's a weird kind of double edge. Like, and also too, wow, I'm grateful, but I don't know. You know what I'm talking? There's many things going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the greatest thing is exactly what you said. You're paying attention to the information in the story.
I don't make choices anymore, put it that way. I don't make conscious choices as to how my character would react or wouldn't react.
You just react.
Yes, I don't even know I'm reacting, usually.
Yeah.
I just take it in.
I think that's the sweet spot that, when we go to all this training, and it's like what you said before, there's only so much you can do in the class, then you got to start putting it into work. And I think that's the thing that we're learning there is how to take all that information in. But when we put it into practice, that's what we're doing, is we're taking the information in and then just responding. I mean, just saying it.
Well, my acting teacher at Rutgers, Bill Asper, told me, and all of us, he said, right now, because we were really doing like the real, it was Meisner technique there, which I'm not a Meisner, got to be Meisner. I'm not a got to be anything. Whatever tool you pick up out of whatever acting teacher you get that works for you, right? Or maybe it only works 1 out of 10 times.
Right.
No?
Right.
Anyway, whatever. And you keep it in your little toolbox. Right? That's your acting technique. Right? That's right. You can have a little bit of Uda, her hammer in there. You have, Sanford Meisner's, broom and mop. You can have, I don't know, freaking, Stanislavski's freaking, axe and freaking, log splitter, right? They're all in your box. That's the way I look at it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like that resonates with me. I feel like that's how I approach everything as well with my little toolbox.
Sometimes when you get so good at it, like I think I'm not so good at it, but I've got my toolbox so memorized now that I don't even have to think about it. And that's what Bill Esper told us all, was that right now you're building your toolbox. And you got to look in that box and decide which tool you got to use, right? That takes a few minutes, right? You got to make a choice, right? But now I've been doing it so long, and I have a little confidence because people keep paying me to do it. The real freaking joy as a guy to get a little money for doing what I love anyway. Yes. But yeah, I just kind of know already what the tool is, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't have to make that choice as to. Right. And also, chance, CHANCE. Trust chance. Trust that shit goes wrong. Shit that, you get the word wrong out of your vocabulary, or mistake. And use the mysterious magic of chance. Because that's what shit really is.
I love that. I love that. The mysterious magic of chance and get wrong out of your vocabulary. Well, like you said, you're getting paid for it, so you know something.
Well, that's, in the end, man. You know what? A friend of mine told me, Ed Seaman, I was doing a show in New Jersey. When I was still in graduate school, they brought in 3 equity ringers to do it with us. He was like probably 60 at the time. Ed Seaman, great actor. And he said, Wade, you know what the definition of a professional actor is? Professional, successful actor. I said, no, what's that? And he goes, if you work enough weeks every year, draw unemployment insurance. And I said, Ed, thank you for telling me that.
Wow.
And you know what? He is absolutely freaking right.
Right. So
that's why I always keep my nut just about where unemployment insurance is. Seriously, still to this day.
Oh, that's right, because it's also a
Then I can
business.
keep being an actor.
That's right. We have a question from our studio audience. Daniel would like to know, first of all, he says, hello. He loves your voice acting in the DC universe. How do you prepare for voiceover work? And do you find it easier or more challenging doing voiceover work than when you're in front of the camera or on stage yourself?
Wow, that's a great question. Well, I got no idea how to do voiceover work, to be honest with you. I was lucky that I was doing Prison Break, right? And this show called Avatar, The Last Airbender, had an episode where they had a warden of a prison in it, right? 2 episodes. So, of course, I was playing this prison guard on TV. So, I mean, that's how much freaking, imagination these days. Well, let's get him. He's kind of, people know who he is now. Who's that? Oh, yeah. Let's get him. Anyway, Andrea Romano directed it. I was in Dallas. She was in Burbank. I didn't know any idea who Andrea Romano is. I'm sure you guys do. Anyway, she's a great, well-known, famous. She's won 18 Emmys. She dresses her Emmys up in freaking Barbie doll clothes. Anyway, I didn't know this, was a huge freaking animated director. And at the end of it, she goes, I like you, man. You're good, man. I'll get you. If I call you, we want to do something else. I said, sure, anytime. It was fun. And I just did what she told me, right? Stay a little back up, and my camera goes, louder, softer, faster, slower, right? So then over the years, every once in a while, she would call me and say, hey, man, you want to come do this? I'm like, yeah. And I would get the script the night before. And I'm dyslexic, right? So it's very difficult for me to read stuff. So I would go through it and highlight it all in, and then I would get there and they, of course, would change it. Right? So then I have another, but thank goodness she was very patient with me, because sometimes, until I got the line right, I'd have to scream it or yell it, because I always play the bad guys that scream the line, 10 or 11 times. And many times she broke me into a real freaking 2-a-day football in August in Oklahoma sweat doing that, let me tell you.
Wow. So is that the trick with the voiceover then? Is just you just have a great director that's just really leading you along the way, and you're just there doing your job, right? No idea.
I've done a bunch of commercials and stuff, and it's a real mystery to me. Voiceover work really is. I've gone in and done. They've hired me out of the blue to do narrations for nature series and stuff, and sometimes they love me. Then other times, in the middle of it, I don't know what I'm doing any different. I'm just being me. They're well, this is not working. I don't know. They go off and they sneak in. And I'm saying that they're fired me now, man, to their engineer. I mean, it's weird. Voiceover is a whole different kind of weird thing. And I have no idea what I'm doing in that. And I'm realizing more and more often that I really have no idea what I'm doing as an actor, whether it be film, TV, or theater as well. I've learned only one thing, is that I just got to have fun. I got to play. At least then people will have fun watching.
Well, they call it a play for a reason.
They do. They don't call it torture.
That's right. I love that. I mean, I feel like all of us actors can relate to that experience where we have a little bit of that imposter syndrome, what am I doing here? But you're right. It's just we have to free up, be, and play. I love that.
Well, that to me is it. That's why people love dogs and kids, because they play.
Because they play. Exactly.
And all you got to do is join in.
That's right. Just join in.
That's what Cheetah taught me how to do. She's always playing.
I love that.
Always, 100% of the time.
Take a breath and go. I love that.
Oh, she's a jewel.
I love that. We have another viewer who wants to know how your experience was on Prison Break.
I love Prison Break. That was a lot of fun. I was making money. That was a good thing. That's the biggest job I ever had, money-wise.
Can we also talk about
making a lot of money compared to the other guys, because I was kind of no adjunct character.
But your character arc? You want to talk about character
I don't know
arc?
where that came from. I have no. They didn't tell me they were going to do that. Matter of fact, they've told me that I was only going to really be in like maybe 12 or 13 episodes, and they were going to kill me off. So I was lucky to keep a job for a while.
Wow.
Anyway, I don't know what. I do know that at the end of the second season, when we ended up in Sona, the last time you see Brad Bellick, he was supposed to be laying on the floor all beat up, right? And I said, hey guys, I learned in the theater that if you're gonna mess yourself up, like if you're gonna walk in onto the stage with a hurt leg, don't make it like you stubbed your little toe on the freaking doorway. No, man, you just dropped the freaking anvil on your fucking foot, and all 6 of your toes are crushed. You can barely fucking go in, but nobody can know that you're hurt, right? That kind of thing. So I said, well, why don't you have me just naked, right? And you can bruise me up like they beat the shit and rape me and stuff. And they went back to the network with it. They were like, rumble. They said, okay, you can wear, yes, we like that. So, but you have to wear some kind of underwear. So I was like, okay, good. They're really going to go for this. Because I always like to go for it. Why not? Why the hell not?
Right.
Anyway, so I went with Tania, the costume designer. I said, what do you think kind of underwear? We both said at the same time, in unison, tidy whities. So, unfortunately, my idea for those tidy whities, I didn't know they were going to keep me in tidy whities for like the first 6 episodes in the next year.
I was going to say, I feel like it was the entire
6 months or 4 months in tidy whities.
Yeah. Oh, tidy whities and a lot of dirt.
I had a good time though. It was a good show for me. I had a fun time doing it. I loved everybody on it. And, shoot, man, I made some money.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Do you still keep in touch with people that you worked on that cast or crew?
Yes. Yeah, I do sometimes. But everybody's kind of gone their ways, That's a long time ago. That's 15 years ago now. 2005.
Yeah.
So we did it until I think my last season was 2008. Everybody's kind of moved on. But I mean, I'm sure if we got back together, it'd be like old times, especially the guys that were in it the first season together.
Yeah. Because
that's kind of when it kind of took off. But I did a movie with Robert Nepper recently. You got to watch it.
Which one is that?
It's called Lena and Snowballs.
Oh, I didn't know he was in that.
Yeah, he's in it too. He plays like my boss, my bad boss.
Oh.
He and Branscombe Richmond are like the bad guys in Home Alone, right? It's Home Alone, except there's about a lion cub that we're trying to smuggle into the country. It's a Rob's Nepper character, the evil demon. And we're like the henchmen, right? But we're so stupid. Anyway, we lose the tiger. Lena finds it, and then we got to get it back. Man, we're fucked. So it's a good. I think it might.
That's
but it was
cute.
A low budget. You never know. Sometimes you're getting Napoleon Dynamite.
That's right. Absolutely right. I'm actually really looking forward to that one. Not just because you got to work with a little cub, but I think it's a cute story and it'll be really funny.
But Rob and we hung out then. That was the last time I saw him.
Yeah, I think it's something. I think that's one of the interesting things about acting and putting on performances in either. And you're right, film and television are also very different from each other. But theater, in any of these worlds, you make relationships and bonds with people that you may not see them for a long time, but when you do, that bond is still just there. I think it's.
I know. Well, you become a family. I think that's the thing that theater especially provided me with. Not so much in film and TV. Was a surrogate family.
Yeah.
That was important to me.
It really does. Theater makes a family.
You have to do it together.
It's
a real. You got to be. I remember one time I was in Maine, Sanford, Maine. I was playing the chairman, Eddie and Groove, right? And at some point, I had to go on the home-built stage, home-painted stage, by all of us, theater students from that summer stock. And I remember going out in the middle of the show and banging my cane down on the stage. For some reason, I looked down, and there were like 6 or 8 dents in the stage where I banged my cane within like a quarter. That's how specific you have to be in order to be in a stage play without even knowing you're doing it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So I wasn't the only one doing that, right? I would just happen to look down and go, well, that's weird that I get to exactly pretty much the same place. And it was for off an entrance. So whoever I was next to was in pretty much it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. It's that consistency of being where you're supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to be, what you've rehearsed, but also being so in the moment that you're not thinking.
So present. Well, it's because it's so body, what do you call that? What's the word? Muscle memory?
Yeah.
That you're able to be present.
Right.
Because you don't have to worry about
right.
where you're going or when you're stopping.
Yeah.
All you have to do is breathe.
Take a breath and go. I love it. I love it. That's so great. Real quickly, one of our viewers also said, was agreeing with you about Andrea Romano and saying she's incredible.
Dude, I had no freaking idea.
Sometimes that's better. I find it's better if I don't know, because then I'm not nervous. I just go in and do my job.
I've had that a couple of times where I just did not understand. Like even with Cheetah Rivera, I'd heard of her, but I have a theater, musical theater, I didn't know. I didn't understand.
Right.
I knew Cheetah Rivera, legend. I knew all the stuff she'd done. I held her in high esteem and regard, but I did not understand how much.
Sometimes you have to have the experience.
And I didn't understand what person can do from dancing, kicking her leg all the way over her head, the energy that throws out into a 3,000 seat house. Yeah. Singing at the top of her lungs at the same time.
Amazing.
2, just standing there and how much energy came out of her. The same.
Just standing.
And it was all 100% fun.
Mm.
Even though she was playing the Spider-Man. Yeah.
I love that. You've given, I think, not only me, but anybody watching something, a reminder and something to aim for that we need to remember and to be. I love it. Let me ask you really quickly. You said it's Lena and Snowballs coming out. Is that
yes?
Right?
I don't know when that one's coming out.
I looked.
They say it's done. They had a premiere in Fitzgerald, Georgia, where we shot it.
Oh.
And they said it was pretty good.
Yay! So I know. So we want to keep a lookout for that. Is there anything that you can talk about that you're working on, or do you have anything cooking or anything else coming out that you want us to keep an eye out, or no, and we just have to Google every once in a while?
Well, let's see what I got. 1, 2. I think I've got 2 coming out. But how much time do we have? Because one's controversial and we have to talk about it.
Oh, we have as much time as you want.
All right, well then let me just get my shit together for a second. Serious. And we'll talk about the controversial one first, so we can end on a high.
Oh boy. Okay. All right, you guys, we're in for a treat. We're getting a little bit of information coming up. If anybody has any questions or comments, we just have a little bit more time with Wade before he's going to leave with us. So make sure and get your questions and comments in. I'm noticing some are coming in. I'm trying to get caught up in looking at everything. But to be honest, I am completely enthralled by hearing all of these stories and getting all of this advice. So, we just have a few more minutes. So let me make sure that I've covered everything that you've said so far. Thank you, Glory, for joining us. I know that you have homework to do. Glory, who was on with us a few weeks ago, who is studying theater and now zoology. So thank you for watching and joining us. And thank you, Daniel, always for watching and joining us. You have the best questions. All of our guests say that every single time. So thank you so much. All right. I guess I have to vamp here for one more second while we're waiting for questions and comments to come in and getting the juice on what is coming up for Wade coming. And I was going to give you the actual... I know you're coming. I want to get the actual title for the show we're looking for.
Thanks for waiting, everybody.
You're fine. Wait, I'm trying to get the name.
This is a tough one for me.
What is it? There's something about Snowball and Lena.
Lena and Snowball.
Is it just called Lena and Snowball?
I think so. I mean, I've Googled it.
I thought it was called something else. I just saw it.
Branscombe, Richmond. He taught me a whole different level of acting. Like Cheetah, he is 100% playing too. And it's very rare to be with someone who's courageous enough to let that bright light shine. Let me tell you. That's
what you have to do. It is not easy. For some reason, we become adults. And it is not easy to just play, but it's so important.
No, people get pissed off when we do. They get mad because they don't want to let themselves do it. It's out of resentment. They get mad.
Oh, maybe, yeah. I'm looking. I want to make sure I have the right.
I'm always playing obvious.
But that's, I think, part of the success, to be honest. I'm trying to pull up the date. Okay, tell us what's coming up for you.
All right, I got two coming up. The first one, it's called Roe versus Wade. Oh. When I did it, it was called 1970. I knew that it was about Roe versus Wade. The second one is I think it's going to be called The Last Manhunt. And it's about the story of, Redford did a movie about it back in like the late 60s called Willie Boy Was Here. Mm. There's this famous story here in Joshua Tree, that's why I'm here, Yucca Valley, about this posse chase after it's a true story, back in 1918, 1919. This was just like nothing here. But there was the character I played that dug the first well in Landers, which is just around the corner. I mean, there's nothing here then. They were all homesteaders, right? Anyway, well, this guy, Willie Boy, who was, I believe, a Chimawave Indian, I'm not sure, who was from here, wanted to marry a cousin who was a fifth cousin, and it was against the rules in the tribal laws to marry a fifth cousin. But he wanted to marry her because he loved her and didn't understand why he couldn't, because everything's changing at that point, 1919. Anyway. So he drags her off and is going to elope with her. Well, somehow the dad finds them and the dad gets killed. Mm. So the Indians send out a tribal posse after them to kill them both because it's tribal law. And the mother of the girl goes to the U.S. police in Banning, California, to tell them, please go find these children before the Indians do and kill them.
Interesting.
I play one of the posse members going after them.
Wow.
Anyway, so those are two weird movies.
And this is a true story.
True story.
And I love it.
It's called Last Man. And Jason Momoa is in it and produced it, and a lot of other great actors too.
Yeah, I spoke.
Not including me. I'm just like,
you are also a great actor.
Riding a horse.
I have to say, I found that really interesting how Jason and Martin learned about this story and then we need to tell the movie about it.
Yeah, you came out to the set. Tell them about that.
Oh, that was amazing. We came out, my mom and I came out to visit Wade and to to go on set. It was a wonderful experience. Everyone was so kind, so just welcoming. We had to ride in an ATV, which was a little scary, into the middle of a canyon, which was beautiful. But
I say they're a bit wimpy, these ladies.
Yeah, we were a bit wimpy. Well,
get out in the middle of the desert.
If you had listen, if you had gotten us on some horses, we would have been fine. It's
okay.
It's the
All
ATV.
Right, I take that proviso.
It's the ATV that I was like,
those are nasty sometimes. You can get bounced out of those.
Yeah. So, but we had a great time, and it was really, I think the thing about it is that it was in beautiful country that just felt really untouched, and we got to see those hieroglyphics, and it was just really a special, beautiful place. I was really appreciative that production let us go and see you, and that was just amazing. But I remember Martin talking to us about, hearing this story. And
Martin's one of the producers, right?
He's one of the producers, yeah. And, talking about how he and Jason learned of the story and wanted to tell it. And I think that's really great. And I hope that we have more of these. There's a lot of history that has happened in this country, and it's been told one way. So I hope that we have a lot more stories being told.
Yeah, this one was from the Native American point of view of the story, as opposed to Robert Redford's movie, which was more from the kind of Western, American point of view.
Yeah. So I think I love that, and I hope we have a lot more. I hope we get a lot more stories, especially about Indigenous Americans. I think that's really important.
Okay, so I think that's a good preface to kind of state kind of why I really kind of got into doing this theater thing and film TV thing in the grand scheme of things, is that I believe, I've been through some things in my life, like we all have, right? And some of those things are difficult to speak about or even remember for me sometimes. But I have to say, I have learned through being in the theater and doing film and TV that I'm not the only one. Right? Some of the stories I've been able to tell have been hard to tell for me because it ain't me. I mean, I'm not the person I'm portraying. I don't have their point of view, right? I don't have their, mental illness. I don't have their upbringing or education. You know what I mean? I don't have that, but some people can do some pretty despicable, horrible freaking things. And that goes from the subtle to the grotesque, right? So, but one of the reasons why I gravitate to stories like that, this Last Man Up and Roe versus Wade, is because people do have a different point of view than I do, right? And I have no problem exploring why people would, right? By playing a character. So in Roe versus Wade, here, I didn't know what kind of movie this was. It's real hush-hush, called 1973. It's a shooting in New Orleans. And I get there, they tell me I was playing Judge White, but then I get there and they say, no, you're playing Judge Rehnquist. And I'm like, really? And I said, no, wait a minute. So, you're playing Judge Rehnquist. I'm like, who the fuck Judge Rehnquist? So I had to learn, like I'm talking about, I had to learn who the fuck Judge Rehnquist was.
Wow.
And then, when it was, he had just been nominated or just been placed on the Supreme Court. Two of them, Stevens, I believe, and Justin Rehnquist back in 1973, to fill the court so they could argue the case, Roe versus Wade, because they held it off for a couple of years because they were shy to Supreme Court justices because they had gotten terminal illness and resigned. So, I mean, dude, I didn't know anything about this stuff. Here I am playing, Rehnquist, who I had no idea was, because I didn't know all the history. It was there was two that dissented. And it was, I believe, White from Louisiana and Rehnquist. And not only that, I get there, John Voight was playing the freaking Chief Justice. And freaking, dude, I mean, it was ridiculous. That, like all these character men, they're like my freaking heroes. Here I am, a Supreme Court just had no freaking idea.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, it's going to be controversial. And I'm playing Judge Rehnquist. You know, a lot of people don't believe what Judge Rehnquist believes.
Right. That's a hard. I mean, I like what you say though. I mean, we can't have these stories told without hearing from the other side, right?
So although Judge Rehnquist believes what he believes, positive fact that maybe I don't believe that, even though I may argue my point very well as Judge Rehnquist.
Right.
On the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. That was even weirder. I did a scene with one of the other justices in the Lincoln Memorial. Can you believe that? And we had like some weird like reporters come up and try to copy my lines down, and the cops had to come. Yeah, the police, the park police had to come and drag him away, and it made the newspaper.
Oh my goodness.
It's going to be a weird movie. Not to mention, everybody's going to get pissed off at this, but you didn't know until I got there. It's produced by Trump's folks in New York, all the big real estate firms.
Interesting.
But I believe there's two sides to every coin, and you should listen to both. That's the problem with our country right now, is we've become so separated. We've got this vast gulf, and I think part of it is because of the way the internet is set up, that we don't get a chance to listen to somebody else's heart either, even though we may not agree.
Yeah, it's been building, this not listening. And we were actually talking about this on the show a couple weeks ago, about the importance of communication, and how when theater classes and music classes, when humanities classes started coming out of the school program, we started losing empathy, and we started losing our communication skills as a society. And that's we're seeing the results of that right now, as people don't really know how to communicate and empathize. And it's very difficult to build on common beliefs and find a resolution if we're not listening. But that's part of our job as artists,
this
right?
Pandemic. I mean, look at what that's done in terms of like how to communicate with people. Look at us now.
Yeah.
Can't even be together.
Right.
Right.
Right. We're doing a Zoom interview from 2.5 hours away.
I know, which is great.
It's great we can, but I sure miss you.
And I'm great everybody's there watching. I hope you're having a good time. I am.
Yes, me too.
Anyway, and you know, everything I say, just take it with a grain of salt. I don't know what I'm talking about. I've been around long enough to know I have really no idea. Although I can put it pretty good. You think that I do.
You put it pretty great. Well, we're gonna wrap up. But I always ask, we know your favorite experience. We talked about that earlier, but we always ask, in your theater experience, did you ever have a crazy debacle? Anything that just went wrong that you had to cover for? Was there a show that was a complete debacle? Anything that you ever experienced? Or was it just like, this is great, nothing's going wrong?
I got a good story about going up.
Oh, like going up in a line?
Yes.
Ah, yeah.
All right, so I was the understudy for Sky Masters on Broadway when they're in the Faith Prince production with Nathan Lane.
Oh my God.
And I understudied, 2 or 3 different Skies. The Sky that happened to be on this night was the original Gaston of Broadway.
Oh, wow, okay.
What was his name? Oh gosh, he was really nice. Anyway, I went on for him. But in the daytime, I had done a reading, some kind of weird reading about the film director, like a reading of a musical. So I'd already done a whole musical during the day. I get there, I'm tired. So I say to Larry Yerman, the music director, I'm really tired. I don't know if I'm going to be able to remember the lines in order to freaking Luck Be a Lady, because I always used to get tripped up as to which verse came next.
Mm.
Anyway, so I go on, right? And I'm doing pretty good. And I'm worried about Luck Be a Lady. So we have to climb down the freaking pipe thing from the top of the stage, right? And we're standing on this pipe unit, which is like 3 stories up. The stage is raked. The chorus is like at a point, right? And we come down the pipe right at the point, like we're the focus, right? I take 2 steps down and I start a little scene with Nathan Detroit. We get into the scene halfway, we're really popping, right? Rolling right into freaking Luck Be a Lady, right? The dice, right? And he shoots one of his lines at me, and I'm ready to shoot mine back, but it's a line I know it's from the first act.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So I went like this. Now remember, I'm in the Martin Beck Theater on Broadway, right? Fucking 3,000 people paid, folks. See the Broadway shit. And they're looking at, by this point, they're looking in their programs, trying to see who's this fucking guy on for Sky. Because at that point, I stood there and I clicked my fingers 3 times. Took a deep breath. Let it out. That line, the first act, was still in my freaking head. It wouldn't leave. And knew it was the wrong line. So I took another few takes. 2 more takes. With my finger at Jonathan Hadarian. And then I looked to my left. And I looked to my right, upstage right. I'm in the freaking thing, right? That V right here. In the meantime, I looked down at Larry Yerman in the pit, and he's like, so I'm still keeping calm, right? I'm snapping and jiving. And I look upstage at my buddy Tim Shue, right? And I got a microphone right here. And I looked him square in the eye and I said, somebody help me. But there was nothing they could do.
No.
They were all standing there like this, trying not to laugh, right? So this goes on, I don't know, maybe it was 30 seconds or something. Anyway, finally, I just said the line that was in my head from the first act. And Jonathan Hadari's head almost blew up because he knew it was the line from the first act.
Oh, no.
Immediately after I said it, the real line came through. The blood came back into Jonathan Hadari's face, and we went out. We did Luck Be a Lady. Now, Larry in the pit was, I've already forgotten one line, right? For a long time. Now he's wondering whether I'm going to remember the lines to Luck Be a Lady. So I got to tell you, he was in that pit, giving me all the lyrics as he was conducting the work. And then I came off the stage, right? And the stage manager had been out front watching, and he comes there with Steve Beckler. He comes running back, wait, everything okay? Everything okay? And I'm like, no, I'm fine, man. I just went up. He goes, it's okay. Don't worry. Keep going. So then afterwards, I'm leaving, and he comes back to me. Waits, what happened? What do you remember? I said, I just went up, man. And he, the stage manager calling the show was standing right there, and he goes to the stage manager, why didn't you give him his line? Why didn't you throw him his line? And he was like, well, I was afraid somebody might hear me. And he goes, well, that's the point. Anyway, that's my big.
Wade, thank you so much for sharing that story.
On Broadway.
Thank you.
I have friends in the audience.
No, but thank you for sharing that, because I think, like, as actors, we all have that moment. Like, everyone has this fear, and it's so nice to know we're not alone. Even on Broadway, 3,000 paid people watching, you can have a moment of,
well,
I got nothing.
Get on here and talk about all kinds of crazy stuff, Samantha. You're a great person. I love you.
Oh, I love you. Mom. You know
your mom is one of the only actors I've ever been jealous of. She's so wonderful. She's a maestro. Anyway,
she is.
Still jealous of her.
You know what? She is. She's amazing, and she's, yeah, I agree with that. She's incredible.
Jealous in a good way.
Yeah.
Admiration.
Yeah, me too. Yay, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I love you. And everybody, thank you so much for watching. Oh, speaking of, Mom says loves and hugs to you, Wade. You're awesome. Thank you guys so much, everyone, for watching and being with us, and we really appreciate it. Little bit of news. We are just switching now. We're only going to be doing Sundays at 7. So next week we'll have a director and designer with us, and we will announce that soon. So stay tuned. And thank you all so much. We'll see y'all later.
Thanks.